So what do you have in your tech winter survival kit?
I don't know what. Oh.
That's what we're talking about.
It's a rhetorical question.
So, that's right. As the snow's starting to pile up outside,
Yeah.
you need to prepare yourself for all those wonderful winter travel plans you have going on. So, yeah. So at the control panel, producer extraordinaire Jim Walsh.
Morning.
How you doing, man?
Good. Just I spent the weekend at home. I had some time off.
So did you binge watch anything?
Not really.
Yeah.
I was going to, but then I got a new book.
Okay.
And I started reading the book, and I spent the weekend with my nose buried in the book.
So Michelle Lucas, who was on last week,
Yeah.
she's with NASA, as you know, and we were talking about Eugene Cranon. I don't know if you remember this, not the last man on the moon, right?
Last man on the moon,
right.
Yeah.
So, and I forgot to bring that out. I was going to bring that out for you today. She sent me the movie and the book.
All right.
So you and I are going to have to do a little swapping here so that we both can read the book and watch that. But
absolutely.
I don't know if you knew this or not, and it was kind of a weird thing, actually. So, we were talking about him, right?
Right.
And then Tuesday was Disruptwell last week here in Bismarck, North Dakota. And then that evening, a few of us after the event were going out for dinner and whatever, and she wanted to go to Space Aliens, which is kind of a local.
Yeah.
They're going to get a nice little plug from us here now, but went in there, and of course, she is, as you know, a space nut.
It's a rib joint with a science fiction ambiance.
Yes, exactly. And she's going crazy. In fact, as we're driving by it, the ambiance on the outside of it is what drug her into this place. She's like, we got to go eat there. So we
Do they
went
still
in
have
there.
the moon suit?
That's where I'm going.
Okay.
You are not going to believe who that belonged to.
Who?
Eugene Cranon.
Oh.
Is that unbelievable?
That is amazing.
Or
and that
what?
was the actual suit.
So the moon suit is at the Smithsonian. So the nearest we could figure out, it was his training suit.
Yeah.
So, and of course, he was on one of the Gemini missions too, or Gemini as he pronounces it. But,
yeah.
But maybe you pronounce it that way too.
He was on Gemini. He was on Apollo 10. He was on the last mission before the first landing.
Yes.
Right.
That's correct. So he has quite a history. And, of course, Michelle knew him. He passed away in January. Yeah. So, yeah, it was quite an amazing little thing what had gone on there as far as coincidences.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, the state I'm from, Delaware, is where they made the Apollo spacesuits.
Oh, I did not know that.
There was a facility in Dover. I forget the name of it, but that's where they made the suits.
So it's always interesting to me, I know in our era of federal cutbacks and all this other stuff, and a lot of government programs probably deserve to be cut or whatever. I mean, I'm not a politician. I don't know.
Yeah, it's not really, it's really outside the venue of our show.
Yes, it is. But the one thing, that I always look at when it comes to government programs is the return on investment. And usually when the government's involved, the return on investment is usually lower than the actual output, if that makes sense. We spend $1 million on it and we get 400,000 back, right? Type of deal. I don't know the numbers. I'm just making stuff up. But in the area of space, it always amazes me that we get tenfold back for every dollar we put into that.
Yeah.
And it's because of the research that comes out of it.
Well, there is also a private movement to go into space.
Huge private movement right now. Yeah, there's
the guy from Virgin Airlines,
Virgin.
Branson. He's one of them.
Yep, and of course Elon Musk with SpaceX. He's delivering stuff to the International Space Station right now, as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
So there are private entities that are blasting off into space right now. In fact, NASA is pretty much using private contractors to supply the space station right now. So I don't know if you knew this or not, too, but there's and I forget the name of the website. I should have brought that in, but there's a website that you can go to. We'll have to get this at the break, where you can go to and find out when the International Space Station comes overhead.
Oh, okay.
And you can see it in the sky. It's the brightest star, of course, moving crazy quick across the sky.
I'm sure that information is easily available.
It is. So if you're ever interested, and you'd be surprised, actually, at how often it comes over us.
Yeah.
It really is kind of amazing. So it's kind of fun if you want to track that type of thing. I have, if you ever go in front of our building when the space shuttle is I shouldn't say the space shuttle, the International Space Station is coming over, the lights on our building turn blue.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I have it programmed so that when it comes over. So if you're ever going by our building in downtown Mandan, North Dakota, all the lights start to turn blue, it's because the International Space Station is flying overhead.
Excellent.
So yeah, I don't think it happens very often, but it happens occasionally. Yeah. So we're going to get into a little bit. Oh, this was interesting. I guess before we get into the tech winter survival kit that you should have along.
Sure.
So Tom Sorrell, he's the new director of transportation for North Dakota, or Department of Transportation head for North Dakota, right? Just came over not too terribly long ago. He's been in the job for a couple months. So at Disruptwell last week, he's on my panel.
Okay.
And along with Michelle, and there was some construction firm was represented.
Yeah.
And a large manufacturer of earth-moving type of equipment was on my panel as well. And the very first thing that Tom brought up when he was talking is that his goal in North Dakota, 0 deaths on our highways. 0.
Okay.
And he believes he can achieve this through technology.
What specifically? We talking the driverless thing?
We're talking driverless. We're talking better sensors on our roads. Those type of things, and you throw in the combination of like ride-sharing services like Lyft and Uber. So if you and I go out and have one too many beers, we have options now as opposed to what we didn't have before. So he has an initiative in place of 0 deaths on our highways. That's amazing.
If he can pull it off, more power to him.
Yeah, well, even if he's halfway successful.
Oh, yeah.
That's amazing. It's just amazing that somebody even has the foresight to be thinking along those lines and is going to be using technology to get us there. That is, to me, just I'm still trying to wrap my head around that a little bit, how somebody could actually have that initiative. And I'm sure he thinks the same way. If he can get to that halfway point, 50% and less deaths or whatever, that's still a huge win.
Yeah, well, that's a great thing to aim for.
It is an amazing thing to aim for. So absolutely. So yeah, all right. So I don't want to get. I'm trying to not delve into this before our break here because I think it'll take most of the break. So I watched. I did binge watch a little bit. Have you watched The Orville?
Oh yes.
What do you think of that show?
I like it.
My
wife and I have. It was kind of shaky first couple of shows.
Well, I thought it
seems to find its bearing. It seems to find its bearing.
I agree. I was expecting it to be a funny spoof on Star Trek.
Yeah,
and it's kind of turned into kind of a. I mean, they still have fun.
Yeah.
But there's a very serious side to what they're talking about.
Some of the plot lines have been very thoughtful. We talked last week about the one you and I liked.
Yes, about the like-dislike button on everybody's shirt. Yeah,
about the planet where everybody voted. The justice was everybody voted on whether you were guilty or not.
Right. So it was justice by political or by opinion, or I'm trying to think of the...
mob rule.
Yeah, basically so.
Pure democracy.
So, basically so. If you were popular opinion is where I was getting to there.
Well, the old joke about democracy, I don't know who said it first, was democracy is 2 foxes and a chicken voting on what to have for dinner.
Exactly right. So yeah, I'm impressed with that show. I'm starting to get very used to the new Star Trek too.
Yeah.
That one's taken a little time for me, but it's because it is really, really different.
Well, realistically, none of these shows come out of the chute fully developed. You have to do a few of them and get your bearing.
That's correct.
That's one of the things. As a writer, you learn that you're not just going to sit right down and spew out the great American novel. You're gonna write something that's kind of so-so, and then you're going to go back and modify it.
Exactly.
Most of writing is actually rewriting.
And I would imagine, these subplots and everything else that go on in these type of shows takes a lot of foresight. And of course, like you said, a lot of rewriting. You have this, as the show develops or whatever and the characters develop, you have a lot of writing that goes on too. But I'm impressed so far. I think both shows are fantastic.
I think it's come a long way.
Yep, I agree. All right, everybody, after the break, we will stop talking about more general things.
Oh, it's great.
I know. We're having fun. And we'll get into what you should have in your tech winter survival kit. Come on back.
Currently 24.
Here's Sean Hannity, weekday afternoons on Super Talk 1270.
Follow the Guru of Geek at Facebook.com/The Tech Ranch or Twitter at Guru of Geek or TheTechRanch.com. Here again is your Guru of Geek, Marlo Anderson.
And we want to thank everybody who listens to us across the country and around the world.
Hell, I'm done shoveling.
Thank goodness. We got like a 1/4 inch of snow out there, geezer.
Yeah.
A lot of work, I know. We should get a snowplow for you, snowblower.
That's right.
You have to figure out how to turn it on, though.
I spent. It started Saturday morning. Just now got it going.
Nice.
Took 10 minutes to shovel the driveway. 2 days to get it going.
Of course, we have listeners who listen to us on the Blueberry Network.
I'm going to get a brandy.
Why don't you go do that? On the Tech Podcast Network. If it's Tech, it's here. We're also on iTunes, Roku, Tuned In, Apple TV. I think I said iTunes already.
Yeah.
Of course, our own app, Radio Pup.
Radio Pup.
All kinds of places.
Media.
And yes, and of course, you can just go to Super Talk 1270 and listen to our podcast anytime you like after the show. So all kinds of places you can catch us later on. So we're talking a little bit about what you should have in your winter survival kit. And winter. I mean, actually, winter kind of came on with a fury here.
Yeah, I mean, first one day we were doing okay, the Indian summer thing. Next day, this.
Yeah, and I looked at the long range forecast. I mean, I don't think we're supposed to get above freezing now for the forthcoming future.
Tonight is going to be a little rough. Single digits tonight, 9 above.
I think of last year. I was still mowing my yard at the end of November last year.
Well,
I mean, that's unusual too, but.
I've seen years where we had snow on the ground before Halloween.
Yes.
I remember years when we've gone out to Halloween parties and there was like 3-4 inches of snow on the ground.
I mean, a lot of people around this area can tell you about the Halloween snowstorm that we had. It left a lot of snow. So it does happen, of course, but it just usually it kind of bounces around a little bit. It's unusual to see the temperature kind of get steady below freezing here, but I guess that's what we're going to be dealt with this year. So anyway. And of course, there were a lot of accidents over the last 3 or 4 days.
Oh, yeah.
A lot to the west of us here because of icy conditions, and in town here because of the snow.
Well, again, the common problem is during the day it thaws out a bit
right.
and refreezes at night.
Exactly.
That's
and then
when it gets you.
And you're not expecting it when you get up in the morning because the roads look fine, but they got this ice over the top of them.
Yeah.
So anyway, you should carry stuff, especially if you're traveling outside of your local area.
Yeah.
You should always have stuff in your car, maybe some sand and a shovel and some extra gloves or mittens and some food like M&Ms and
that's actually very important. I mean, if you're in a situation where it's super cold, you need to keep your metabolism up to survive.
That's correct. So, throwing an extra blanket in the car isn't a bad idea. You don't hear about people getting caught in storms as much as we used to because we have the technology out there that
GPS
we can communicate
and stuff like
that type of thing.
yeah.
But if you're caught in a snowstorm and they creep up on us all the time. I mean, you get in those little snow squall and people can't get to you for a few hours or whatever. You want to make sure you can stay warm and stuff. And there are other things that you can do with your technology as well, right?
Right.
So one of the things I always tell people, especially in the wintertime, but this isn't a bad idea all the time, is to have an extra phone in your car.
That's a good idea.
One of the ones that you and I would probably throw away or whatever because you can always make an emergency phone call with any phone.
Yeah, because they're required by law
required by law, right?
Yeah.
So if for some crazy reason your regular phone becomes disabled, or let's say you're in an accident or whatever and gets damaged, you have a secondary phone that you have in your glove compartment or whatever, and just make sure it's charged up.
Sure.
And I would just like your spare tire, check your charge on your extra phone that you have in your car occasionally, just to make sure that it's charged up and ready to go.
Yeah.
And the other thing is that if you were stuck for a long period of time and your regular phone would die because it runs out of juice, you have a secondary phone, that you can still communicate with or whatever. So there's a couple of reasons that I think, and if you're looking to repurpose an old phone, put those old phones charged in the glove compartment of your vehicles.
Yeah.
And that way there's just that secondary phone ready to go.
Now, if they're exposed to the cold, doesn't that have an effect on some old phones to kind of drain them?
Well, of course, every battery would be that way, right? But, at least you have something. And I just would occasionally just check them to make sure that they're charged up. I mean, during the winter, especially if you leave that vehicle outside, maybe every other month or something, just charge it back up. Easy thing to do. Backup battery pack. They're very easy to get nowadays. I have one that'll probably charge my phone 3 or 4 times. It's just a little square, about 2.5 inches squared there that you can do that. They have those little rectangular ones that are a lot less money. I mean, for $10 or $20, you can have backup battery, And in fact, that's usually what I have charged into my car all the time.
Right.
And then mine has like two. You can charge that, and then you have two outlets off of that. So if I'm gonna plug my phone in, I just plug it into the battery pack when I'm traveling. So that's something that I think is important to have, and an extra charging cable too. You know, it's not a bad idea to throw into your glove compartment, just so that you have this stuff as a backup, especially in the wintertime. So apps on your phone. Now, do you have any winter survival apps on your phone right now?
Just I have one of the weather apps.
Okay.
Just to keep me, just so I can always know exactly what the weather is going to be at any given time. And the current temperature.
Sure. You know, and our phones, of course, are getting smarter and smarter.
Yeah.
Did you notice my new phone?
Oh, is that a new phone?
It is brand new. I have a new Galaxy or a Samsung Note 8.
Okay.
And what's cool about this, I'm really getting off topic here now, but you can talk to it, of course. But you got the little stylus. You punch that out, and ta-da! And now you can actually draw. You can write notes. And it actually takes this, even as terrible as my writing is, I was playing with this last night, I can write on it, and it changes over to regular fonts.
Very good.
So if I want to write a note and have it, just keep writing on the thing. It's pretty cool, actually. So, but you're right. I mean, the technology that we have on our phones is fantastic. Dark Sky is an app I would probably get if I were you. Dark Sky. So what Dark Sky does is it predicts snowfall in specific regions, and it can get very specific. You know, so it'll let you know when it's going to predicted when it's going to start, stop, if you're going to run into how heavy it's going to be, and it'll tell you if you're coming home from work, or if you maybe need to leave work a little bit earlier to beat the snow, so to speak. So Dark Sky is fantastic for snow predictions.
Well, that's definitely something we need here.
Yes,
because for folks who don't know about this area, we live in an area where a variation on the old joke: if you don't like the weather, just get on the road and drive 10 miles, and it's a whole different ballgame.
And especially in the wintertime around here. I mean, you can get in a little snow squalls around here. You obviously can get into where the wind is 5 or 10 miles in town, and it's 15 or 20 out there, and the snow's blowing and reduced visibility. I mean, we have interesting weather around here in the wintertime. So, Road Trip Weather is another app. Road Trip Weather, and if you're going to travel long distance during the winter. And it's sometimes difficult to plan for, because, it might be beautiful where you're leaving, just like what we're talking about, right? And you drive 10 minutes or whatever, and it changes. Road Trip Weather is a useful app because it actually will tell you the weather along your road trip. You program it to go from here to there, and it'll tell you, approximately when the weather system will be moving through on the specific route you're going to take. And it'll let you know if you're going to have as pleasant a trip when you're leaving your area as to when you're getting there. So Road Trip Weather. Here's an interesting app that I think is interesting, is Amazon Pantry. So you can go on to Amazon if you're an Amazon Prime subscriber, and you can go to and it's called Amazon Pantry, and you use this service and you throw all of your stuff into a large box, and it can be like a winter survival guide type of thing for when you get stormed in.
Yeah.
So you order your, maybe there's a couple movies you want to watch. Maybe there's a little extra toilet paper you need. I mean, whatever it is that you need to, and it'll come in as this pantry item as opposed to having one or two items coming in, more regularly, if that makes sense. So, and they have about 2,000 items in the Amazon Pantry right now. So it's I think it's a great service for city dwellers and even more so for rural people.
Also be good as a flu survival kit if you get stuck at home in bed.
Well, that's an interesting idea.
Yeah.
I like that idea, actually. So anytime you're going to, and of course in the wintertime, that usually happens.
Yeah.
You're going to have a 2 or 3 or 4 day stint usually in the wintertime where you're just not feeling so well, and a good time to just watch that. So, and speaking of that, Netflix. It's the next thing I have on the list for that winter survival thing, if it's too rough to venture outside, you want to have Netflix inside Netflix, and you could throw that into Amazon Prime or Hulu is the other one that I use quite often. So any of those is kind of nice, and you can do a little binge watching of some things. This one is really good for all time, and it's First Aid by the American Red Cross. So this is an app that goes on your phone, and it'll show you different first aid techniques. And what's interesting about this is that you don't need to be connected to the internet.
Okay.
So, if you're in the middle of a snowstorm or whatever, and you're trying to figure out what to do about potential frostbite, for example, it will help you with that. If there's a broken bone that you're trying to, kind of get by until emergency personnel can get there, this will help you. So I would highly recommend, it's called First Aid, and it's by the American Red Cross. And this is something, actually, I'm going to put on my phone. As I was researching this little piece today, I'm thinking, wow, I'm surprised I don't have this on my phone yet, because that's what it's about, right? The access of information. And in a first aid situation, you normally don't have time to go look things up.
Yeah.
So if you can just click on the app and away you go, there you go. So after the break, everybody, we'll continue our conversation on your winter survival tech kit.
Currently 24.
Dave Ramsey is heard here. Super Talk 1270.
We're back to the Tech Ranch. Stream this program now at supertalk1270.com. Here is your guru of geek, Marlo Anderson.
So I just got this text, Jim,
Yeah.
and I love this. With the rise of self-driving vehicles, there will eventually be a country song about how your truck left you too.
My truck done left me.
That's pretty good, actually, Jim.
Thank you. Thank
Your
you.
truck, your wife, your dog.
Yeah. Well, the old joke is you play a country record backwards and you get them all back.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Exactly. So we're talking a little bit about the what you should have in your tech winter survival kit, and a couple of the apps that you should have. First Aid by the American Red Cross.
Right.
You should have a couple weather apps with you. Of course, make sure that your phone is always charged up well.
Yeah.
And
That's
that you should
very
have
important.
Yes, and you should have a secondary phone in your car that's charged as well as a battery. And these are relatively inexpensive. In fact, we all have phones that we've thrown away. You can just throw,
Sure.
or that you've replaced.
Or throw them in the drawer somewhere.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
Instead of having them in the drawer, throw it in your car,
Yeah.
and then you just have it. So because they'll all every phone will make a 911 call. Every phone. Doesn't matter if you've got a plan on it or not. You can pick it up and make a 911 call. So that's what's wonderful about that. So the last one I have on the list is one called RadarCast. And this is another weather app. Tracks hurricane storms and almost any meteorological system. Like dark sky, it predicts the start and end times for rainfall, snow, and it tracks stuff with NOAA radar. So this app is very highly detailed. So that's the nice thing about it, is that sometimes, that's the wonderful thing about some of the technology we have nowadays, is that, and even the Weather Service is getting better with this, where the weather storms are half of a county now. They don't say the entire county anymore, or whatever, because they're getting that precise with this stuff. So
How many times have you heard a weather alert for, say, Morton County, and it's something going on all at the extreme other end of the county, and it doesn't affect us at all?
It's a big county, and that's the thing, is that, I know that when they're tracking this stuff or whatever,
right,
that the systems are kind of designed around counties, because they're like the smallest, larger, they're larger than a town or a city, but small enough that everybody knows what county they live in, right?
Now, in the summertime, a funnel cloud touches down, or you just get one somewhere in extreme western Morton County, and it doesn't even get anywhere near the city.
Right. The other extreme to that, though, that I always love, is like a blizzard warning, right?
Right.
And it's in Morton County, but not Burleigh County, which is right across the river.
It's like that.
It's like the river stops the blizzard right there.
Well, my dad used to say that rivers do strange things to the weather.
Right.
He talks about, I've seen this happen. You're driving along and it's really foggy and dark, and you go over a river, over the bridge, and all of a sudden everything the sun comes out. It's weird.
And I agree with that. I think that, but a blizzard doesn't, I don't think, have that boundary. But I suppose they got to have a boundary somewhere between where
something
the blizzard
about
warning
the evaporation of the water.
Right,
I don't know.
Right. So anyway. So there you go, everybody. And I'll put a list about this up on the techranch.com so that you have a place to go to, so you can see my tech winter survival guide. So the Apple 10 just came out last week.
And?
Yeah. So you're a Droid person, right?
I'm a Droid man, yes.
So, of course, the 8 came out a few weeks ago, and the 10 just came out last week. So there's some cool things. First of all, you're going to spend $1,000. You know,
Ugh.
but Jim, I hate to say this, but I spent $950 on this phone.
Yeah, well, if you can afford it. I mean,
Well, I'm just saying that. Mine's on a contract as well.
Right.
But I mean that's the actual cost of this phone is $950.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of phones anymore that you spend less than $500 on when you go buy them.
Yeah.
There are a few, I suppose. If you get into, and I shouldn't say that. If you get into like some of these prepaid phone systems, and
Right.
those are great too. And I actually. I need to do that because nothing frustrates me more than spending $1,000 on a phone. But
now, when you say $1,000, you saying you actually had to put down the money?
no, it's
yeah.
it's $30 a month for 30 months or
Oh,
whatever.
yeah. Well, yeah, that's
Right.
what they do with
Right.
mine, yeah.
That's what they do with all of them now because
Yeah.
it's no and you figure it up, right? And you're sitting there and you're like,
Yeah.
all right, is it cheaper for me to buy it straight out or do I
Right.
pay the monthly fee on it? There's not a dime difference. It's the exact same
Oh,
money.
exactly, yeah.
So they want you to pay it over time for whatever reason, and you
Yeah.
actually have some advantages to doing that. I don't know why they offer it that way because
Well, it's to their advantage for you to have it and use it.
right,
Yeah.
and they got you locked into a plan for 2 or 3 years. Instead,
Bingo.
if you buy it straight
That too.
up, then you can walk away anytime you want to,
Yeah.
basically. So yeah, but anyway, the Apple 10, first of all, facial ID. So it
Yeah.
actually looks at your face and opens your phone up that way. That's right. You can smile at your phone anytime you want
Yeah,
to.
my phone
So
screams.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, it looks at my face.
The Animoji thing is what's interesting to me, though. So, do you use emojis at all?
Very sparingly. I they tend to get a little too cute for my taste.
I don't.
I'm not big on cute.
I'm not. The only emoji I ever use is a smiley face.
To me, it's like a car horn. It's there if you need it.
Right. If somebody sent me a sentence in emoji, I would have no clue what they're
Yeah.
saying. I'm just saying. I haven't adapted to it. I know that it's almost like a second language to
Yeah.
a lot of people now. It
I'm
really
sure in
is.
1,000 years, people will be deciphering these messages. Like, there's something you found on the Pharaoh's tomb.
Yes. This was a famous person back then. What does this sentence mean
Yeah.
here? Right? Yeah, that's hilarious.
Kardashian, I think it means.
Yes. So anyway, they have these animojis now. So not emoji, but animated emojis. Right?
Oh,
And what
okay.
it does is it looks at your face, and if you're nodding yes or you're smiling or whatever, it will actually emulate what you're doing. And
What
you
if
could,
you're rolling your eyes, which I tend to do a lot?
it may catch that, and
Mm-hmm.
it actually makes a sound recording. So the lips of the emoji are moving
Mm-hmm.
as you're talking to it. So you can send a voice message through this Animoji, and I think that's somewhat clever. And the thing is about that, you could send a video of yourself, right? And maybe you got a messy room, and maybe you don't want to have people seeing what's all around you or whatever. Here you can send an Animoji and not have to worry about anybody seeing
and you won't have to
anything.
spend the whole morning finding just the right emoji to append to
That
your
is
letter.
true. That is true. So that's interesting.
Yeah.
So I think that the Animojis are going to be, it could be
Yeah.
interesting.
Well,
as
I'm
it moves
feeling kind
forward.
of cynical and a little bit of the old life weariness checking in, some existential angst. I can't find that emoji. Maybe the winky guy. Nah, probably not.
Yeah. So that there's some other great features on the Apple 10 as well. I think.
Excellent.
I'm not sure did you see anybody standing in line for one anywhere though?
Well, again, I wasn't out that much over the weekend.
I'm just wondering if you've seen any news reports because I think it was last Thursday.
Well,
that it
not
came
like,
out, so.
some days when something really big comes out and you drive by Best Buy and they're all
Right,
lined up to
right.
get in. I didn't see that so much.
Yeah, I didn't see that either, but I think Apple's gotten a lot better at shipping things as well. So a lot of
That's a
people
key
order
thing,
them
yeah.
online and then they just show up that day, So
Yeah.
if the release is last Thursday on it, they just start showing up on Thursday.
That's always been an issue.
So I think that they've gotten better with that. So
Yeah.
I'm guessing that's probably why there weren't as many people standing in line. And I just don't know how many people stand in line for
Maybe they're using more
$1,000,
drones
so.
to ship them out now.
Maybe so. That's a possibility as well. At least one of these days it will be.
Big old armada of dragonfly
Yes.
things coming
So-
in.
So speaking of drones, this is interesting, and I don't have this on my notes, but I noticed this. So Epson has, most people know Epson for printers, right?
Right. We have one.
Okay, and I do too. I've always been a big fan of Epson
They're
printers. They are good printers. They print excellent. So, but they've also been known for optics over the years. Not as many people know this, but they've always had a great line of projectors. You could buy an Epson projector for
like home movie type things?
Yeah, and for presentations and that type of thing, right? So they've been doing that for a long time too. So they've gotten into glasses, augmented reality glasses, AR glasses, right? And they've actually done a very good job. So at CES 2017, we were at the drone rodeo.
Sure.
And Epson was there, and I was trying these glasses on. You may have even seen the video of me wearing these things, right?
I think I have.
And they basically look like just a little bigger than regular glasses, and they tether to a pack. And as you look through them, I can see you, but I can also see the telemetry that's being sent back to me from the drone or from whatever.
We haven't heard too much about that, though. I remember a couple of years ago, you and I talked about that a lot.
A lot.
And then a couple of years went by and we barely touched on it. Was it because there was just so much other stuff to talk about?
Well, they haven't, that, and I think that they haven't really... They're starting to find their way through this now, right? So the Apple X, for example, has augmented reality on that.
Okay.
So you can hold your phone up and you can see the video through your phone, and if there's any augments to it, whether it would be like how to repair my car or what the special is at your local eatery, because that's the goal here, is that you can see the video, or you can look through your glasses in the future and you'll see that, hey, they got hamburgers 3 for $1 over there today, let's go have some hamburgers, or whatever. That's the ultimate goal. Or if you're looking at your car and you're about ready to replace the oil in your car or change the oil, that it'll actually take you step by step through those instructions.
This actually something like that happened to me on Friday. You remember what a crappy day Friday was here?
Yeah.
And we needed to change one of the wipers. One of the wipers was shut completely. So there I am out in the middle of this horrible weather. I said, and I said to my wife, let's wait until it stops snowing.
and it's always crazy, right? You think, I've had the same issue with wipers before.
Yeah.
It seems like it'd be the easiest thing in the world to do until you got a bunch of snow coming down and ice all over it, and it just drives you crazy.
Well, it's like when daylight saving ended over the weekend, and you got to figure out again how to adjust the clock on your car radio.
Right.
And every time I got to go back and look it up.
Yes. After the break, everybody, Jim and I will continue the conversation. Come on back.
Currently 24.
The Red River Farm Network. Ag News is here on Super Talk 1270.
Follow the Guru of Geek everywhere he goes. Post your comments or questions at thetechranch.com. Once again, your Guru of Geek, Marlo Anderson.
My phone is cool.
Oh.
I was just playing with it over the break. It's so cool.
Yeah, he's like a kid on Christmas morning here.
And in 2 months, it'll be like, when do I get my new phone?
Yeah. Just in time for Christmas, you'll be ready for a new one.
That's about right.
Yeah.
Isn't that funny how that works? I was so anxious to get rid of my old phone.
Well, it certainly has put a new high-tech spin on Christmas shopping.
It has.
Yeah.
A lot of people do actually buy phones. It's funny you bring up Christmas, by the way.
Oh.
Because in my hands...
And his formerly nicotine-stained fingers.
Not that show, man.
Oh.
Yeah. But I do have a list. And, people could buy me these things. I'd be okay with that, actually.
Oh, yeah.
But before we get into that, actually, so webcams. This is somewhat related. So do you put a piece of tape over your webcam?
Sometimes. I used to when I was, sometimes I like to lie in bed with my pad and look at YouTube or read books online, that kind of thing. And, I was doing it for a while. What I did was I got like a Band-Aid.
Okay.
Because I didn't want to put actual adhesive over the
that's a good idea, actually.
I didn't want to mess up the fisheye lens, so I got a Band-Aid.
Yeah.
So it does cover it, but you don't actually get adhesive on the good part.
And I suppose everybody's wondering, why is Jim covering his webcam? Well, it's because people can break into them.
That's right, and they can look at you while you're looking at things.
Yes, and maybe it's not so important in the home, although the privacy of your home is being invaded because of this. But I think about the boardroom.
Well,
too,
what if you're looking at porn? I'm asking for a friend.
You always go there.
I'm asking for a friend. Never mind.
Anyway.
Well, you get the point.
But if you're in a boardroom, and you got trade secrets on the walls, and this is the thing, right? Is it just, are you more concerned about the video or the audio? And I want you to think about that a little bit. Would you be more concerned about people hearing you or seeing you?
I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know.
Because a lot of times when you have the webcam going, if it's just one or the other,
Yeah.
then they're just seeing stuff. I am actually more concerned about what they would hear.
Okay.
And it's simple like this, hey, honey, our password is blah, blah, blah to the bank,
Yeah.
right? That's not something that you're going to visually see.
Yeah.
Or, man, oh, man, this new product we developed is amazing. We're going to put blah, blah, blah out of business with this thing, and your competition's listening to you. So, and this is the thing. You can cover up the video part of it, but you won't believe how many mics are in things. Now,
Microphones.
Yes, microphones, right?
Well, I know your phone and your pad, if you've got one, there are microphones.
And they're always
in
listening, right? My phone right now, all I have to do is say, hi, Bixby.
Hi, Bixby.
And I'm sure it I know I got the
turns
volume
on,
turned down, but it pops up and it's ready to ask me a question. So it's always listening. My phone is always listening to me now, and most phones are like that, right? So you may have a Google Home appliance or an Amazon Alexa sitting around.
Yeah.
You may have a new refrigerator that now listens to you because you can put a to-do list on your refrigerator.
That's right.
Your TVs, all your new TVs listen to you.
So it's just like the old, what's his name, the Russian guy who does the jokes.
Oh, yes.
Yakov.
Smirnoff, yes.
In Mother Russia, television watches you. Now it really does.
At least it listens to you. So you have all of this stuff going on, and so I'm thinking as I was reading through prepping for today, I was just thinking to myself, really, if you have a place that you need to have secrets, if you're a company, for example, I would almost start creating a no tech room to have board meetings in and things like that because and nobody's cell phones, because everybody's cell phone can be listening to you.
Right.
All this stuff has to be left at the door, and then you go into that room.
Are you talking like a Faraday cage kind of thing, or
you almost would have to do that, right?
Yeah.
Because
something that would insulate you from the effects.
Because your home and your office are under total assault right now because there's so little security on these devices. There's a website that you can go to. I'm not going to mention the name here, but there is a website you can go to that has what's ever open in the world. So like baby monitors and webcams, and I should say webcams, but security cameras or whatever, right? So because a lot of people don't even change the username, the default username and password that it comes with. So they'll post all these IP addresses of all these security cams in the world you can just put in the default username and password, and it's not even illegal if you let somebody in to watch the stuff.
Did you ever read that story where for years the launch code for the missiles at the Pentagon was like a string of zeros?
No.
Yeah.
Of course.
I kid you not.
Unbelievable. So this is the thing, everybody. You have to be really diligent about this because, if you're concerned about privacy in your home, yeah. And especially if you don't take the time to change those default username and passwords, I don't know what the odds are. I need to investigate this sometimes, but you're wide open. People literally can come into your home and watch you or listen to you or whatever.
Well, I look at it this way. If they really want to try, they probably could get through to mine, but I'm sure as shooting, I'm not going to make it easy for them.
Right. And it's as simple as just putting a password on the thing, because a lot of times, even, a simple password may not, it'll slow them down. It's like putting a lock on your door,
it's like
right?
they say on crime, statistically a mugger or a burglar is going to go for the low-hanging fruit.
And that's exactly what this is.
If he thinks your house is going to be too much of a hassle to get into, he'll try the guy down the street.
That's exactly right. So even if you have a minimal password on there, it's like having a lock on your door, right?
Yeah.
It's just, they can still break in. It's just going to take a little more work, right?
Yeah.
When you have, security system around your door and you got signs up around your door saying there are video cameras there and everything else, people are less apt to break into your house. Same thing is true about passwords and that type of thing, so you have to be diligent.
You don't have to outrun the bear. You just have to outrun the other guy who's running from the bear.
And the reason I'm bringing this up really is because we're coming into the holiday season now, and you and I technology is going to be a big gift this year, right?
Yes.
It's not going to be unusual for you and I to get technology gifts, right?
Yeah.
Your wife is going to buy you something technology or whatever.
Probably.
And it's very possible that the new stuff nowadays is going to have mics built into it. So you got to take the time to make sure So a lot of the stuff that I have on this list right here, which I guess I'm not going to get to anymore since I've been on my high horse now.
Well, that's okay.
But for another time. But the Amazon Echo, the Alexa, new, been redesigned. And it's even hard to get the old ones now. The new one is just
really?
coming out, yeah. And I see that.
How are the prices?
Well, this is what's interesting, right? So the Echo is $99.99.
That's not bad.
And
the old one wasn't it?
The old one I bought was $180.
Oh, they're coming down.
So they've come down. Notice they're a little shorter as well, right? And I see that one of the large big box stores is going to have a Black Friday special on those for $80. So a pretty good deal.
It's amazing the way that works with technology.
It is, and then the Echo Show. So the Echo Show is like an Echo with a video screen on it.
Yeah.
So you can call up YouTube videos and watch them and that type of thing. I bought my grandson an Echo for his birthday last week, by the way. And he was like crazy excited. I thought it was, because he uses mine all the time. So I thought it was great. So anyway, everybody, make sure that you get your tech winter survival gear together along with your regular survival gear. Make sure your car is ready for the winter. And I'll put that list up again at thetechranch.com so that you can see all the stuff that I recommend. And I guess Rockin' Dave will be here next week. I will be out on the West Coast.
Viva Las Vegas, baby.
Enjoying my time out there, I guess, doing some deals, wheeling and dealing, as they say.
Everybody. They're still dealing with their issues.
They are. So have a great week, everybody.
Thank you.